Humanity sets the agenda.
11:32. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Maryam Mkwanda, and it's time for our hit list segment. Our hit list for today is Dr. Farzana Cassim, South Africa's first and only female surgeon who is competent in robotic surgery, and she's joining me on the other side of the stream to share her journey with us. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Farzana, and shukran for joining me.
Wa alaikum assalam, and shukran for having me.
All right. Well, besides being the first and only female surgeon competent in robotic surgery, who is Farzana Cassim in a nutshell? Tell us a little bit about yourself. What makes you tick? What makes you happy, sad? Just tell us. We want to know.
Okay. Be prepared for a long story. So I just need to clarify one thing. I am the first female, but two more women have subsequently been trained. They're still, still early on in their training days. But there's more of us coming.
Yes.
So I am, the work stuff is probably the easiest to start with. I'm a urologist and a urogynecologist in Cape Town. I am also a wife and mum to a very crazy little girl who keeps me extremely busy. Fun at the moment is mostly playing on the robot and hanging out with my family. So trying to chase that work-life balance that seems to elude us all. But I'm probably quite boring apart from that, in that I'm a voracious reader. So I tend to spend any other free time reading. So reading, traveling is probably our other favorite pastime. So COVID was quite a scupper for so many reasons. I'm so very grateful that life is starting again and feeling a bit more normal.
Mm-hmm. Well, congratulations on your achievement, and it's great to know that there are other women training and are going to be following suit. So it's like, yay, kudos to them. Now, tell us about robotic surgery. What is it exactly?
So the complete term is laparoscopic assisted robotic surgery. So what that means is it's minimally invasive. So it's keyhole surgery where we make tiny little cuts on the patient's abdomen, so on the tummy, and we insert our instruments and do our surgery. So with traditional laparoscopy, we would stand next to the patient, we're scrubbed in, we're actively moving the instruments at the bedside, whereas with robotic surgery, we attach everything and then the surgeon actually moves over to a console. So the robot has three main parts. There's the console where the surgeon sits, and it is a phenomenal experience because there's 10 times zoom in a 3D field. So it feels like you are literally inside the patient's abdomen. And then you move the instruments using almost, it's not quite joysticks, but little instruments that are extensions of your fingers to move the instruments around. So the console talks to to sort of the brains of the machine, which then talks to the arms of the machine, which have the instruments and are moving on your behalf, essentially. What that allows is for us to get into very tiny little spaces with amazing vision. Because obviously if we do surgery open, it's the naked eye. If we do it laparoscopically, you get about a 4 times magnification. Whereas with a robot, it's 10 times magnification and your instruments are much more intuitive. So with laparoscopy, if you move your instrument to the left, or if you move your hand to the left, the instrument moves to the right. So it's counterintuitive, whereas with the robot, it is just an extension of your fingers. If you move left, it moves left. If you move right, it moves right. So it really cuts down on the learning curve for minimally invasive surgeries. It allows us to operate on more complex patients in a shorter time with fewer complications. So it's very exciting to be able to offer our patients this service in the state sector.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, what about this form of surgery excited you such that you decided to take upon it and study it and eventually do it?
Yeah, so so I have to be honest and say, when I was, growing up or in medical school, the robot didn't really exist back then. So it was more, I have a passion for seeing patients and for fixing things. I'm very hands-on, so surgery allows you that. And then I specialized in urology specifically because I find it so interesting. It's so diverse. There's stonework, there's robotic surgery, there's prostate work, there's reconstructive, pediatrics, female urology. There's so much that you can do that no 2 days are the same, no two patients are the same, and you constantly on your toes, constantly thinking and having to push yourself, which I find very exciting. And then when the robotic program came into place at Tygerberg Hospital, I was very grateful that our HOD put me forward as one of the 8 doctors to be trained, because it's, obviously everyone's clamoring for it, but it's very exciting. It's a phenomenal opportunity, and it makes surgery so much easier and almost more fun. I realize that I'm working on sick patients, so it's not I'm not being callous about it. It's just that it helps find a bit of extra joy in work every day.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what they say, if you love what you do, then you're never going to have to work a day in your life. All right. Now, talk to us about the challenges that you faced along the way.
So, medicine in general is tough. It's from med school, you come in quite young and think you know everything. And as you go along and you specialize more and you learn more, you realize how little you actually know and how much you still need to know. So constantly learning and keeping up with things is definitely an ongoing challenge, and I hope I'll be able to continue challenging myself forever, or for the rest of my life rather. But being a woman in surgery, especially when I started out, where there weren't that many of us in surgery, and certainly very few women in urology, you have to really grow thick skin and stand up for yourself when the time comes. But also, I've had so many wonderful people backing me along the way, and just encouraging me, being my cheerleaders, from family to friends to colleagues, and certainly bosses along the way, and managers. So there's always, I think, whatever you do in life, there's always going to be some or other challenge. And you just have to think a bit laterally about how to solve those challenges without causing excessive conflict or anything, without hurting people along the way.
Mm-hmm. Right. And as you mentioned, that it's medicine itself is quite challenging. So, what does one need to study to become a robotic surgeon or laparoscopic something?
It's fine. You can say robotic surgeon, that'll work. So, robotic surgery in itself is just, it's almost like an add-on to what we already do, if you know what I mean. It's just an extra tool in our little magic box of what we can offer patients. So what I've done, that's why I've done, you do your basic medical degree, your internship, community service, and then most of us work for a little while just to gain experience and to be 100% sure of, which path we want to take. I took the scenic route to urology, so I did general surgery for quite a few years first, and then urology, and now the robotic work. But that path can be, so the departments or the areas where robotic surgery are best established is urology, because we work in the pelvis, colorectal surgery, because they also work deep down there, and more recently gynae surgery. So anything where you're working in the abdomen, and especially in the pelvis, where it's, you know, a bit space is constricted, etc. It's very useful to be trained and to have access to the robot.
Now, can robotic surgery be used for any type of surgery, or is it just specific ones?
So, I mean, you could theoretically probably do pretty much anything with the robot. It's a very versatile machine. So, you know, we all talk about evidence-based medicine and look at research and studies and things before we go, you know, try new things. So we don't ever experiment directly on our patients. And the evidence is very strong in urology and colorectal surgery, and it's coming for gynecology as well. So those would be the main fields. The robot you can do anything with it, but it's best suited to small, tight, dark spaces, if that makes sense. It's also, you know, it is a limited resource and it is very expensive. So there's still a role for laparoscopic surgery and open surgery. That's not going to disappear. It's as I say, it's an adjunct.
All right, so it is 11:44. We are going to take a quick break and we will continue thereafter, so please stay with us. Riba is a terrible sin. Easily move your business or personal insurance to Amana IFS. Call 0861 786 393 and leave riba for good.
Or 1-001-0184, or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
As Palestine faces unrest, Africa Muslims Agency teams are on the ground providing emergency food to families. Donate 1,500 rand or any amount to help the people of Palestine, and imagine the difference you can make. Call AMA now on 011-834-8685 or donate online at africamuslimsagency.co.za. Africa Muslims Agency, 35 years of empowering, educating, and inspiring.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
It's 11:46. You're listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Maryam Mkwanda. And on our hit list for today is Dr. Farzana Cassim, South Africa's first female surgeon who is competent in robotic surgery. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comment section or send them to us on WhatsApp. The number is 061 766 0355. Alternatively, you can call us in studio on 010-880-2396. The lines are open. Dr. Farzana, shukran for staying on the line. Now, earlier on, you mentioned that you're not the only female at the moment, the only female surgeon, as there are other women being trained. So what is the future of medicine in South Africa, especially for women and women of color?
Yes, that's an interesting question. I feel very strongly that the future as an individual is what you make of it. And yes, you know, people there are people who will always be a bit more privileged than others for various reasons and in different ways. But for me, you know, I'm a fighter. If I want something and I put my mind to it, it's going to take a lot to hold me back. And I think that's probably the attitude to kind of have with life in general. You need to seize every opportunity. You need to just work extremely hard. So nothing comes easily. I think that's the other thing. But hard work does pay off. And I think for medicine, look, I can't really speak for the rest of the country, but in the Western Cape, at least, our health department works exceptionally well. And we have a lot of very supportive managers and more women coming in managerial posts, which I think is very exciting. I've said before, I'm a feminist in the sense that I want equality. So I don't expect to have any favors, but just because I'm a woman, that's actually quite insulting. But I want equality for everyone. I want women to be afforded the same opportunities that historically men were only offered. And even today, it's getting better, but we're not there yet. And especially as a person of color, I do think we still do have to work that little bit harder to prove ourselves. But to be honest, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Whatever you do, whatever work you do, whatever studying you put in, whatever hours you put in, you get to reap those benefits at some point. So even though it is frustrating sometimes thinking, oh, I've been overlooked because I'm a woman, and why do I have to work that much harder? I don't think that's very productive, to be honest. I think you need to just focus on the positives and just go for what you want. In terms of medicine in South Africa in general, it's difficult to comment. I still think we have one of the best medical systems available. We have so much available to our patients. Yes, there are long waiting lists and queues and things, but the care that you get in state facilities, or at least at our facility, is exceptionally good. I realize I'm biased, but I think we offer a good service. And I think medicine in South Africa in general is very progressive. We're constantly breaking barriers and making headlines. And I'd like to see more women doing that, to be honest. And I would love to encourage and help and even mentor women who would like to, but, not just in medicine, in all fields.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yesterday we had an interesting discussion about why South African healthcare practitioners are leaving the country to seek better opportunities overseas, especially in European countries. And some of the points that were brought up there, it's the infrastructure. There aren't nurses are not paid enough. It's always like the long hours, 213, one nurse to 213 patients, etc. So that like you mentioned that it's better in Tygerberg, but I don't know about the rest of the country. I mean, I can't speak for them, but just this alone says a lot that there is a problem with our healthcare system. With our healthcare practitioners should not be leaving; they should be wanting to stay. So, what do you think about that? And what do you think the government can do to encourage and motivate our healthcare practitioners to stay in the country?
Yeah, that's a difficult one, because usually people leaving the country, it feels like it's a mass exodus, but it's usually multifactorial. It's not necessarily just one thing. It's not necessarily just working conditions. It's also safety issues and quality of life issues. I mean, I have a daughter, and you look at crime and things and you think, oh, are we doing the right thing staying here? But then you look on the news and you might have a crazy gunman coming into the school and shooting your child in first world countries. So I think the grass is always greener on the other side until you get there. I, for one, think we have a phenomenal system. Yes, it does get frustrating when you have to fight for theatre time and when you have patients that you really want to help and you just don't, you can only give them a date in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. And that was made a lot worse during COVID when we had to shut down a lot of our elective surgeries and things. So in terms of what the government can do, they really need to hire more staff and so that we can offer a better service without completely sapping the energy out of every single staff member. The problem is that costs money, and I'm not sure where that's going to come from. But if our healthcare worker to patient ratio is really high, it's probably unacceptably high in the state sector, and if that could be addressed somehow, it would be amazing. And then also just resources in terms of equipment. So we are very lucky that we have the robot. But you never know if there's going to be funding to keep it going forever, or if that money will need to be channeled into something else, like maybe getting beds or new X-ray machines or scanners or whatever. So, it's an ongoing problem. And it is very difficult to solve. But I have to say, I personally am still, despite all of those challenges, quite happy where I am. So, yeah, it is tricky. I think if you have the urge to leave, it won't take something big. It'll be something small that might push you over the edge. But most of us here, I think, are a lot of us that have stayed for 5 years plus will probably die here, to be honest. So, it's a combination of things.
Mm-hmm. And well, actually, the grass is always greener where you water it, not on the other side. You don't know what's on the other side. It looks green at face, and then when you get there, it's like, oh, okay, I thought the grass was green, but no, it actually isn't. Right. So, what advice would you like to give to our audience, our viewers, and our listeners?
Yeah, so just look after yourselves and each other so you don't ever have to see me or any other doctors. But in terms of just a general positive word, stick to your guns, follow your dreams, and it doesn't, again, work hard at whatever you're doing. It doesn't have to be a formal career or whatever. Just if you have passion about whatever you're doing, I truly believe you'll excel and do well in life. So yeah, that's probably, and never stop learning. Those are probably my little pearls of wisdom.
All right, Dr. Farzana, it has been a pleasure chatting to you and getting to know you a little bit more. We wish you well in your future endeavors, and to those upcoming female surgeons as well. We wish them well too.
Thanks very much.
Right, have a wonderful day. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Dr. Farzana Cassim, South Africa's first female surgeon who is competent in robotic surgery, talking about her momentous feat and the future of medicine in South Africa, particularly for women. If you're passionate about something, go and do it. Don't wait for somebody to tell you that you should do it or you should not do it. You know you better. I mean, really, if there's someone who knows you better, it's yourself, it's you. So if you're passionate about something, it doesn't even have to be in medicine, it can be in any field. If you love drawing, go ahead and draw, go ahead and do something that you love, and you can turn that passion into a profit. And who knows what you can achieve today and tomorrow. But it all comes down to you just starting and taking your passion and turning that into whatever you want to turn it. You can turn it into profits, you can turn it into a career even, and you can also teach people about it. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media, and if you know of anyone who could be a feature on the hit list, please get in touch with us. Send their details to WhatsApp on 061 766 0355. Alternatively, you can follow us on our social media platforms and send us a message over there. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We will be right back, but here's a nasheed for you to enjoy.